It's more than just a gas station. It was my dad's dream. Just days from foreclosure, Maggie Delgado was still keeping her late father's place running, holding on to what little remained. Then one stormy evening, 10 bikers rolled in, stranded by a raging dust storm and looking for shelter. Though running on fumes and heavy with worry, Maggie welcomed them with quiet kindness and brewed coffee with the last of what she had. The next day, her lot flooded with trucks and bikes, sparking a chain of events that would transform her life in ways she never imagined. Welcome to Unraveled Whisper, where simple acts hide the deepest stories. The sun dipped low over Route 12, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement of Walt's Fuel and Goods. Maggie Delgado stood behind the counter of the gas station's convenience store, counting the day's earnings. $190. Not enough to cover the property taxes, let alone chip away at the mortgage. 2 months overdue. Her 6-year-old daughter, Sophia, played with toy cars on the floor, humming softly, oblivious to the "for sale" sign hanging crookedly outside. The station, once a bustling stop for travelers and locals, was a ghost of itself since the interstate rerouted traffic 10 years ago. Maggie glanced at the photograph above the register. Her father, Walt Delgado, grinning beside his old semi-truck. Circa 1995. Walt, a former trucker, had opened this place 20 years ago, pouring his savings into a haven for road-weary drivers. He'd been a legend on the highways, always stopping to help a stranded motorist or share a coffee with a rookie. But legends didn't pay bills. The bank's latest notice, tucked under the counter, screamed final warning. No one wanted a gas station on a forgotten road. The radio crackled. Severe dust storm warning for San Miguel County. Visibility near zero. Stay indoors. Maggie sighed. The worst storm in a decade was coming, and no one would be crazy enough to drive tonight. She was about to lock up when the rumble of engines broke the desert silence. 10 motorcyclists roared into the lot, their leather jackets dusted with sand. Headlights cut through the thickening haze. A woman, grizzled and broad-shouldered, dismounted and stomped to the door. "Evening," she said, voice rough as gravel. "Name's Carla. Storm's closing in. Any chance we can hole up here?" Maggie hesitated. The shelves were nearly bare, the coffee pot down to its last grounds. But Sophia looked up, eyes wide, and Maggie thought of Walt, who'd never turn away a traveler in need. "Come in," she said. "It's not much, but it's dry." By 6:30 p.m., the bikers had claimed Walt's Fuel and Goods, their presence filling the small station with a rugged warmth. Some perched on the counter's 4 stools, boots tapping the worn linoleum, while others sprawled at the 2 tables by the smudged windows, jackets slung over chairs. A few leaned against the walls, their low chuckles breaking the desert's quiet. Maggie moved through the crowd, passing out bags of chips and candy bars from her dwindling stock, the shelves behind her nearly bare. She brewed coffee, its bitter steam rising from a dented pot, while Sophia, eyes sparkling, darted among the strangers, offering Twix bars with a shy grin. "You're a natural, kid," a biker with a braided beard said, ruffling her hair. Sophia beamed, clutching an empty wrapper. The station buzzed, its silence replaced by the hum of voices, a faint echo of Walt's bustling days when truckers and wanderers filled the tables. Maggie's chest warmed at the sound, but the bank's voicemail, 5 days to pay $30,000, lingered like a cold weight, threatening to snuff out the moment's light. The storm struck without warning, its wind shrieking like a living thing, rattling the station's walls. A branch smashed through a window, glass shattering across the floor, dust swirling in like a rogue wave. Sophia yelped, and Maggie pulled her close, heart pounding. "Board it up," Carla called, her voice cutting through the chaos as she spotted plywood stacked in a storage corner. Javier, wiry and quick, grabbed a sheet with Hank, whose gray beard swayed as he hefted it over. They hammered nails with steady hands, sealing the gap as wind howled outside. In minutes, the dust settled, the group panting, their faces streaked with grit. "Thank you," Maggie said, her voice thick with gratitude, one arm still around Sophia. The girl peeked out, clutching her toy car, her small nod mimicking the biker's calm confidence. Maggie caught Carla's eye, a silent understanding passing between them. This was Walt's kind of place, a haven in the storm, Maggie lit a camping stove behind the counter, its blue flame flickering as she heated cans of vegetable soup. The scent filled the air, mingling with the coffee's tang, as she ladled portions into mismatched bowls and passed them to the stools and tables. Riley, a young biker with a quick grin and a faded bandana, knelt by Sophia. "Biker wave?" she asked, showing her, thumb up, fingers spread wide. Sophia mimicked it, her laugh bubbling up, then grabbed crayons and sketched a picture of Harleys roaring under a stormy sky, the neon sign glowing above. Hank pinned it to the wall near Walt's photo. "Our mascot," he said, his gruff voice soft. Sophia glowed, standing taller, as if she'd joined their road. At 8 a.m., the CB radio on the counter, its dials dusty from years of neglect, crackled to life when Javier tweaked its knob. A voice broke through the static. "Route 12 closed. Storm's holding." The bikers nodded, their bikes stranded for the night, their faces unbothered by the delay. Eli, a lean biker with shadowed eyes, lingered by Walt's photo, his fingers tracing the frame. "Walt Delgado?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Maggie paused, coffee pot trembling in her hand. "You knew him?" "Heard of him," Eli said, eyes distant. "Helped more than travelers." His words hung heavy, a puzzle Maggie couldn't piece together, before he turned back to his bowl. Others spoke up, their stories painting Walt's kindness. A tire change for a biker stranded in Arizona's heat, a bottle of water pressed into a hiker's shaking hands during a heat wave, a tow for a trucker's rig stuck in a flash flood's mud. Maggie's eyes stung, her father's quiet deeds unfolding like a map she'd never read. "He kept those to himself," she said, voice catching, a tear slipping free. Carla leaned forward, her weathered face catching Maggie's worry. "Rough times?" she asked, voice low but firm. Maggie hesitated, the weight of the truth pressing down. "Banks foreclosing in 5 days," she said finally, her words spilling out. "Been struggling since Dad died. I'm terrified I'll fail Sophia, lose her grandpa's road." Sophia looked up, her wave hand frozen, worry creasing her small face. The room stilled, the biker's eyes softening. Carla's gaze held steady. "Lost my bike shop once," she said. "Thought I'd never recover. You're tougher than you know, Maggie." The bikers fell silent, their concern a quiet strength. Riley waved Sophia's drawing, coaxing a small smile from the girl. "You're still fighting," Carla said, her voice a lifeline against the bank's cold grip. "That's more than most." By 10 p.m., the storm still battered the station, its wind a relentless howl. But inside Walt's Fuel and Goods, a warmth lingered, woven from Sophia's laughter and the bikers' stories. The air smelled of coffee and soup, the counter's stools and tables cluttered with empty bowls and crumpled napkins. Maggie trudged upstairs, fetching a stack of worn blankets from the apartment's closet, their faint scent of lavender a reminder of quieter nights. She handed them out, her voice soft but steady. "Sleep here. It's what Dad would have done." The bikers spread the blankets across the linoleum, some settling near the counter, others by the boarded window. Carla, her leather jacket draped over a chair, met Maggie's gaze, a faint smile softening her weathered face. "Your dad's heart's still in these walls," she said, her gruff voice carrying the road's quiet respect. Maggie nodded, her heart flickering with pride, though the bank's deadline loomed like a gathering storm. At dawn, the desert quieted, the storm's roar fading to a low moan. Sand piled high against the station's walls, glinting in the first light. The radio hummed faintly, a voice reporting, "Roads reopening by noon?" The bikers stirred, folding blankets and prepping their Harleys, their movements slow, reluctant. Sand crunched under their boots as they checked tires and wiped dust from chrome. "What do we owe you?" Carla asked, reaching for her wallet, her voice rough with gratitude. Maggie shook her head, her tone firm. "Nothing. You gave me the best night I've had in years." The bikers exchanged glances, then stacked crumpled bills on the counter for Sophia, who stood by the door, waving her biker signal. Thumb up, fingers spread. Carla lingered, her eyes catching the "for sale" sign swaying outside. "Station and apartment both?" she asked, brow furrowed. "Yeah," Maggie said, her throat tightening, the words heavy. "Bank's taking it." As the engines roared to life, their rumble fading into the desert, The station felt hollow, its warmth slipping away like a dream. Maggie swept sand from the floor, the broom scraped loud in the silence. Sophia yawned beside her, clutching her crayon drawing of Harley's, her small frame drooping with sleep. The biker's kindness lingered, stories of Walt, Sophia's giggles, but doubt crept in, cold and sharp. Maggie's phone buzzed, the bank's voicemail cutting through. 4 days left, Ms. Delgado. Pay $30,000 or lose the property. Her stomach knotted, images flashing. Sophia in a cramped rental. Walt's neon sign dark, his legacy erased. She knelt by a shelf, packing Walt's things. A trucking logbook, its pages yellowed. A faded bandana, soft from years. The CB radio's mic, its cord frayed. Her fingers lingered on its worn edges, grief welling up. I tried, Dad, she whispered, tears spilling onto the linoleum, each one a weight of failure. A lone customer, an old rancher in a frayed cap, shuffled in, buying a soda with a trembling hand. He left a $5 tip, his eyes sad, as if sensing the end. Good luck, Maggie, he murmured, the door creaking shut. She tucked Walt's photo into a box, its frame catching Sophia's crayon marks on the wall, a gallery of her daughter's joy now fading. The walls seemed to close in, the foreclosure's shadow growing darker, heavier than the desert's heat. That afternoon, Maggie sat at the counter, staring at the empty lot where the for sale sign sagged, its paint peeling like a broken promise. Her phone buzzed again, a third voicemail from the bank, its cold tone unchanged. She didn't play it, her hands shaking as she clutched Walt's bandana, its fabric worn thin. She pictured telling Sophia they'd have to leave, saw her daughter's face crumple, her toy cars packed into a box, her laughter silenced. The thought was unbearable, a failure that cut deeper than the desert's endless sun, leaving Maggie alone with the weight of a promise she couldn't keep. As dust settled over Route 12, Maggie boxed Walt's logbook, her movements slow, each item a goodbye. Sophia curled up on a stool, clutching her Harley drawing, her voice small. Mama, is Grandpa's road going away? Maggie's throat closed, unable to answer. She stroked Sophia's hair, forcing a nod. We'll be okay, sweetheart. But the lie burned, the bank's deadline, 4 days looming like a storm. A low rumble stirred the desert, faint at first, then growing. Maggie glanced out, expecting a stray traveler. Instead, headlights pierced the twilight. Carla's Harley led a convoy of motorcycles, RVs, and semi-trucks, stretching down Route 12, horns blaring in greeting. Sophia sprang up, waving her biker signal, eyes wide. Maggie stepped outside, her breath catching as the lot filled, engines roaring. What's this? She asked, voice nearly drowned by the diesel hum. Carla dismounted, her grin wide. We talked, Maggie, on biker forums, CB channels, group chats, about you, Walt, this place. Every driver out there knows his name. The crowd swelled, bikers in weathered leather, truckers in flannel, locals who remembered Walt's coffee. A man with a gray beard called, Walt gave me gas money in '96, no questions asked. A young woman in a biker vest added, he showed me how to secure a load when I was green. Eli, the quiet biker, stepped forward, meeting Maggie's gaze. Walt hid my brother here in '99, kept him safe from smugglers. I owed him everything. Maggie's jaw dropped, Eli's cryptic words from the storm night clicking into place. Her father's kindness, always quiet, had ripples she'd never seen. Carla handed Maggie an envelope, heavy with cash. Donations, she said, from riders, truckers, folks who heard how you opened your doors in the storm. It's $32,000, covers the mortgage and restocks your shelves. Maggie's hands trembled, the weight anchoring her. A man in a polo approached, extending a card. Greg Torres, Southwest Freight. My fleet runs I-40, but we need a stop that feels like home. Can we schedule rigs here? Before Maggie could respond, a biker with a gray ponytail stepped up. Name's read. My club, Desert Hawks, wants monthly rallies here. Riders from 5 states. A local farmer in overalls chimed in. I'll deliver produce weekly, no charge for the first month. Voices overlapped, offering fuel discounts, repair help, word of mouth. The station's future unfolded piece by piece. Maggie's eyes blurred with tears. I don't know what to say, she stammered, clutching the envelope. Carla's eyes crinkled. Say you'll keep this place going. For Walt, for Sophia, for all of us who need a road home. An older biker approached, holding a CB radio handset. Walt gave me this in '99 when mine broke, he said. Said he had a spare. It belongs here. Maggie took it, her fingers tracing its edges. She glanced at the CB base unit behind the counter, untouched for years. The handset clicked into place, a perfect fit. Carla led Maggie to the station's entrance, where Kevin, a young biker, unrolled a design for a new sign. Walt and Maggie's Road Haven, a motorcycle and semi-truck under a crimson desert sunset. The interstate's busy, Carla said, but we know the old routes. This'll be the stop for every driver in 5 states. The CB radio crackled to life, wired by Javier during the storm. A voice broke through. Walt's place is back. Best coffee on Route 12. Truckers and bikers joined in, praising the station, sharing road updates. Maggie laughed, the sound foreign after years of silence. Sophia tugged her sleeve, bouncing. Sodas, Mama? For everybody? Maggie looked at the crowd. Bikers with tattoos, truckers with sunburned arms, locals with knowing smiles. She saw the truck stretching into the horizon, the station buzzing with new life. Get the sodas, she said, wiping tears. And call Rosa to help. We're gonna need more hands. The crowd cheered, Sophia darting inside with a grin. Maggie gripped Carla's shoulder. How did you do this? Carla shrugged, her grin sly. Road folks stick together. Walt taught us that. As night fell, the convoy lingered, sharing stories under the neon sign's glow. Maggie served coffee from a borrowed pot at the counter, listening to tales of Walt's generosity, a tire changed in a monsoon, a meal shared with a broke drifter. Each story was a thread, weaving her father back into her life. Sophia waved her biker signal to every newcomer, her laughter echoing across the lot. The next morning, the convoy helped clear sand from the storm, their bikes and rigs gleaming in the sun. Greg Torres sketched a plan for weekly freight stops, while Red's club mapped rally dates. Maggie watched, the envelope still in her pocket, the bank's deadline no longer a threat. She called the bank, voice steady, confirming the payment. The for sale sign came down, tossed into storage with a thud. Over the next weeks, the station transformed. The mortgage was paid in full, the bank's calls silenced. Locals donated paint, bikers fixed the broken window, and truckers spread the word on CB channels. Maggie ordered new stock, coffee, snacks, sodas, filling the shelves for the first time in years. Sophia helped stock them, her crayon drawing now framed behind the counter, a symbol of the night that changed everything. 3 months later, Walt and Maggie's Road Haven was a beacon on Route 12. The lot was paved to fit more bikes and rigs, and a shaded patio hosted biker rallies, the air thick with barbecue smoke and laughter. Javier ran a small repair bay, fixing flats and tweaking engines, while Riley, who'd settled in town, managed the store. Maggie's staff grew to 5, including Rosa, a local who'd known Walt's coffee since she was Sophia's age. The CB radio stayed behind the counter, always on, its static a heartbeat. Maggie learned its rhythms, sharing weather and road updates like Walt once did. Late at night, when the station quieted, she'd hear truckers and bikers swap Walt stories over the airwaves, some familiar, others new, like the time he talked a driver through a breakdown in a blizzard. Each tale was a gift, a piece of her father she hadn't known. On the anniversary of the dust storm, Maggie hung a new photo on the wall, her and Sophia surrounded by the bikers from that night. The convoy crowd behind them, all smiling under the neon glow. Beneath it, a small plaque read, "Home is where the road leads you." Sophia, now 7, helped polish the frame, her biker wave a reflex as she greeted customers. A young rider slid onto a counter stool, his leather jacket patched with club insignias. "First time here," he said, glancing around. "Heard this place is legendary on the route." Maggie smiled, pouring a soda. "Welcome to Walt and Maggie's. First one's on the house. What's your story?" As he spoke, of long roads, late nights, a dream to see every state, Maggie felt Walt beside her, his presence stronger than ever. The interstate had carved a new path, but it had led her exactly where she needed to be. Here with Sophia, with the Rhodes family keeping the light on. Outside, another engine rumbled to a stop. Maggie glanced toward the window, her smile steady and sure. The road hadn't forgotten her, and neither had the people who rode it. Somehow, in holding on, she'd created something worth returning to. Something Walt would have been proud of. I hope this story reminded you that even in forgotten places, small acts of kindness can shape extraordinary outcomes. If Maggie's journey touched something in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We've got more heartfelt stories waiting, each one built on hope, second chances, and the quiet strength of everyday people. So stick around, explore the channel, and let the next story find you.